MSW Media. Thanks to Tomboy X for supporting the Daily Beans. Tomboy X makes brazenly unapologetic underwear for all bodies, all shapes, all genders, and all sizes. Really, all sizes. Discover your inner tomboy and let us get you started with our special discount. Go to tomboyx.com and enter code DailyBeans to get an extra 20% off. And thanks to Athletic Greens for supporting the Daily Beans. Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Just go to athleticgreens.com/dailybeans to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance.
News with swearing. Daily Beans, Daily Beans. Daily Beans, Daily Beans.
Hello and welcome to the Daily Beans for Wednesday, September 7th, 2022. Today, a New Mexico judge has removed insurrectionist and Cowboys for Trump founder Couy Griffin from office under Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. Newly obtained video evidence shows former Coffee County Georgia GOP chairwoman Cathy Latham escorting operatives into the county election office just before a voting machine breach. The acquisition firm that agreed to fund Truth Social has failed to secure enough shareholder support to get more time to close the deal. Oath Keeper Stewart Rhodes files for another delay of his trial for seditious conspiracy. John Eastman has filed an amicus brief with the Supreme Court in the Moore v. Harper case. Trump's judge shopping paid off in the Mar-a-Lago case as we await the Department of Justice response to Judge Cannon's lawless ruling for a special master. And that same judge has rejected an amicus brief filed by former GOP officials. I'm Allison Gill.
And I'm Dana Goldberg.
We were 3 seconds short of 1 minute. I was close.
We were. That was a lot of judicial shenanigans.
It's a lot. There's a lot going on. And I gave you the best stories today. You're going to be so happy.
I saw that. Thank you so much, my friend.
Of course. Of course. I do it for you. And in our Flip It Blue segment today, we're going to be talking with the candidate for U.S. Senate. A U.S. Senate candidate for South Dakota running against Republican John Thune. His name is Brian Bengs, and he is awesome. So I look forward to that. And then, of course, we got the good news. But we do have a lot of news to hit. So let's hit the hot notes. Hot notes. All right. We're still waiting to see how the Department of Justice is going to respond to the absolutely lawless and ridiculous order for a special master issued by Trump-appointed Judge Eileen Cannon. And while, trying to figure out if they're going to appeal, if they're going to not appeal and plow ahead with a special master or appeal part of the ruling, maybe focus on criminal investigations from other documents that were not seized on August 8th, like the January 15 boxes, the 15 boxes they got from NARO, or that, the envelope that they got pursuant to the May subpoena. Will they file a motion for reconsideration or maybe a motion for clarification because her shit was just muddy as fuck? But anyway, while we wait for them to decide what they're going to do, two things. First, she issued an electronic minute order today declining to accept the amicus brief filed by former GOP officials. Now, I brought up this amicus brief last week. It came out just hours before that 40-page DOJ response to Trump's idiotic filing requesting a special master. So she declined that, which is weird and unprecedented, but I guess that's her gig. But second, Jose Paguilleri at the Daily Beast reminds us that this isn't the first time Trump has rolled the dice with this court to try to get Judge Cannon. When former President Trump summoned up years of bubbling resentment and sued Hillary Clinton and everyone else involved in Russiagate earlier this year, he naturally filed his lawsuit in South Florida, home to his Oceanside estate. Jose writes, yet when his attorneys formally filed the paperwork, they selected a tiny courthouse in the sprawling federal court's district's furthest northeast corner, a satellite location 70 miles from Mar-a-Lago. They drove right past the West Palm Beach federal courthouse that's 12 minutes away. Trump's legal team, it seemed, was specifically seeking out a particular federal judge, one he appointed. The tactic failed, and Trump instead got Clinton-era judge Middlebrooks, whom he promptly tried to disqualify for alleged bias. But that judge called him out in a snarky footnote. He said, I note the plaintiff filed this lawsuit in the Fort Pierce division of this district where only one federal judge sits, Judge Eileen Cannon, who the plaintiff appointed in 2020. Despite the odds, this case landed with me instead. And when a plaintiff is a litigant before a judge that he himself appointed, He does not tend to advance these same sorts of bias concerns, he wrote in April. Months later, Trump is once again suing in the Southern District of Florida, but this time to hamper that FBI investigation we're all talking about into the way he kept and stole hundreds of classified records. Except this time, he did get Cannon, and the strategy has seemingly paid off. And I'll keep everyone posted on how the Department of Justice responds as soon as we know. I'm very interested to see what they do here. But in other court news, John Eastman, remember that guy?
Oh, yeah.
He's filed an amicus brief with the Supreme Court in the Moore v. Harper case. That's the case that would let state legislatures legally submit fraudulent electors, the whole scheme he tried to do illegally in 2020. John Eastman, hey there, hello, yes, Your Honor. I know I'm under federal criminal investigation and Georgia state criminal grand jury investigation, but hear me out. That's the dumbest fucking shit. Also, in other court news, Oath Keepers leader Stewart Rhodes wants to delay his trial, according to a motion he filed today. He says he's replaced his attorneys and wants a 90-day continuance. He's in pretrial prison right now, by the way, so it'd be 90 more days in jail for him. Rhodes' new attorney says his client, quote, had a complete or near complete breakdown of communication between himself and his prior counselors. The motion also lists motions that the defense intends to submit prior to trial. And one motion listed is a motion to compel the select committee to provide interview information. Quote, significantly, several key witnesses in Rhodes' trial, including Roger Stone, Ali Alexander, Kelly Sorrell, Rudy Giuliani, Bianca Garcia, and Michael Green were witnesses before the U.S. House of Representatives Select Committee on January 6th. Rhodes has a right to the transcripts of those testimonies, but Rhodes' counsel have not obtained those transcripts. Yeah, good luck, Elmer.
I love it. And I love this story, AG. You remember this? Okay, people are going to know this because Maggie Toulouse, who's down in New Mexico, dear friend of mine, she sort of helped push this to happen in its initial stages. A New Mexico judge ordered Otero County Commissioner Couy Griffin to be removed from office, effective immediately, ruling that the attack on the Capitol was an insurrection and that Griffin's participation in it disqualified him under Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. This is a big fucking deal.
Huge.
It's setting some precedent. Now, this decision marks the first time since 1869 that a court has disqualified a public official under Section 3, and it's the first time that any court has ruled the events of January 6th to be an insurrection.
Yep.
Those are the two big takeaways here. Now, Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, also known as the Disqualification Clause. We've been talking about that, remember, in North Carolina, I think it was with, what was his name? The guy that got caught in his underwear.
Madison Cawthorn.
Yes, Madison Cawthorn. Anyway, what that does is it bars any person from holding federal or state office who took, quote, an oath to support the Constitution of the United States, which would have been all of them, as an, quote, officer of any state. And then if they engaged in an insurrection or rebellion or gave aid or comfort to insurrectionists, it disqualifies and bars them from running for public office. So Griffin, as an Otero County Commissioner since January of 2019, he took an oath to support and uphold the Constitution and laws of the state of New Mexico and the Constitution of the United States. Clearly, he did neither. Now, this is a direct quote. This is a historic win for accountability for the January 6th insurrection and the efforts to disrupt the peaceful transfer of power in the United States. Protecting American democracy means ensuring those who violate their oaths to the Constitution are held responsible. This was from Crew President Noah Bookbinder. Went on to say this decision makes clear that any current or former public officials who took an oath to defend the U.S. Constitution and then participated in the January 6th insurrection can and will be removed and barred from government service for their actions. This was successful. I hate to say this, AG, and I know it's not going to happen, but that means Pelosi could do this with all these fuckers that showed up to the insurrection. I know.
Mm-hmm. Well, she can't.
She
right?
can't.
Because she's federal. Now, any federal elected official is also subject to Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, but they have to be handled in the states that they come from because the Constitution says states you work out your own election shit.
Got it.
So that's why the North Carolina, elections board is the one who decided about Madison Cawthorn. The Georgia elections board is the one that's going through the paces with Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Are they doing it in Colorado with Boebert?
No, I don't believe they have filed yet in Colorado.
Oh, okay.
So you do have to do that in your respective state or locality. So this was just up to the Otero County Elections Board.
And this is why I keep you around. All right. Well, that and many other reasons, like I'm employed. Under New Mexico law, any private citizen of the state may file a lawsuit to remove a disqualified county official from office. So a group of New Mexico residents were represented in this case by Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington and some New Mexico-based law firms. Everyone was in on this shit, which is awesome. And this is another quote. January 6, 2021 was a dark day in our history. The court's ruling today is a historic moment for our country. Mr. Griffin's removal and bar from holding office again is a step towards obtaining justice and restoring the rule of law. Fuck yeah. And that was from Dodd Law Office, LLC, the president, Christopher Dodd himself.
That's so cool.
It really is.
So yeah, you have to kind of be in sort of an area that's cool with barring these insurrectionists from office. If you're in an insurrectionist county, that county board of elections or state board of elections might not be so into it. All right, a Republican county official in Georgia escorted 2 operatives working with an attorney for the former guy into the county's election offices on the same day a voting system there was breached. And that's according to newly obtained video. Lordy, there are tapes. The breach is now under investigation by the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, that's the GBI, and is of interest to the Fulton County District Attorney, who's conducting a wider criminal probe of interference in 2020. The video sheds more light on how an effort spearheaded by lawyers and others around Trump to seek evidence of voter fraud was executed on the ground from Georgia to Michigan to Colorado, often with the assistance of sympathetic, idiotic local officials. In the surveillance video, which was obtained by CNN, Cathy Latham, a former GOP chairwoman of Coffee County who's under criminal investigation for posing as a fake elector in 2020, is seen escorting a team of pro-Trump operatives into the county elections office on January 7th, 2021. The same day voting systems there are known to have been breached. The 2 men seen in the video, Scott Hall and Paul Maggio, have admitted they gained access to the voting machine in Coffee County at the behest of Trump lawyer Sidney Powell. Text messages, emails, and witness testimony filed as part of a long-running civil suit, this is a civil suit into the security of Georgia's voting systems, show Latham communicated directly with then Coffee County election supervisor about getting access to the office, both before and after the breach. One text message, according to the court documents, shows Latham coordinating the arrival and whereabouts of a team, quote, led by Paul Maggio, that traveled to Coffee County at the direction of Sidney Powell. 3 days after the breach, Latham texted the Coffee County election supervisor, "Did you all finish with the scanner?" According to court documents, Latham testified she did not know what Hall was doing in Coffee County. "I just let him in and texted about it before and texted about it after, but I don't know what he was doing there."
Oh, but I don't know anything.
But when confronted with her texts about the scanner, she clammed up and asserted her Fifth Amendment rights.
Oh, my God.
I love this. Do you think they don't have the fucking evidence when they bring you in to ask you questions, lady? According to court documents, Latham has provided conflicting answers during her depositions when asked about her involvement in the breach and whether she was at the Coffee County elections office on that day. Well, now there's video evidence, and it confirms she was there when it took place and literally held the door open for those who breached the voting systems. So now she's on the hook for lying, too. Previously, the Justice Department had warned election officials not to allow outside access of this kind, so it's not like you weren't warned. Latham didn't respond to CNN's request for comment, probably for the best. A lawyer representing Latham did not dispute the facts of the story, but said that Latham did not have the authority to authorize anyone to do anything with the ballots. Yeah, well, then she probably fucking shouldn't have. All right, Dana, you have a little schadenfreude.
I do. Give it to me. All right, AG, the blank check acquisition firm that agreed to merge with Donald Trump's social media company, it seems they have failed to secure enough shareholder support for a 1-year extension to complete the deal. And this is people familiar with the matter. At stake, $1.3 billion cash infusion that Trump Media and Technology Group, as we've talked about, TMTG, which operates the former U.S. president's True Social app, stands to receive from Digital World Acquisition Corp. Now, that's the special purpose acquisition company that inked a deal last October to take TMTG public, okay? They have not secured enough shareholder support. The transaction has been on ice amid civil and criminal probes into the circumstances around the deal, which I think Elizabeth Warren brought to their attention.
Yes, she
It's
did.
a beautiful thing. Digital World has been hoping that the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC, which is reviewing its disclosures on the deal, would have given its blessing by now for the transaction to proceed. It has not.
Nope.
Nope. Hard no. Most of Digital World's shareholders are individual investors, and getting them to vote through their brokers, it's been challenging, apparently. And yeah, Digital World Chief Executive Patrick Orlando, that's what he told us last week. Digital World needs 65% of its shareholders to vote in favor of the proposal to extend its life by 12 months for the move to become effective. I'm sure after this shit show, a lot of them are like, not sure. Now, by Monday evening, far fewer Digital World shareholders than those required have voted in favor. Far fewer. Now, were Digital World to fail in its bid to get its shareholders to back the one-year extension, this management has the right to extend its life without shareholder approval by up to 6 months. Now, it's unclear whether Digital World will pursue this option, as it would provide enough time for regulators to reach a conclusion on whether to allow the deal to proceed. So if they move forward without the money, they're going to get fucked on this. As soon as they find out, they're like, nah, this shit's not legal. Now, Digital World has disclosed that the SEC, the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority, and federal prosecutors have been investigating the deal with TMTG, though the exact scope of the probes is unclear.
Yep. So the SEC, Securities Exchange Commission, and FINRA, the Financial Industry Regulation Authority, and federal prosecutors have been investigating this deal. Yeah, probably best not to go forward with it.
I would think so.
Gosh, why your shareholders got cold feet? I can't figure it out.
I can't figure out why some of the shareholders still said, sure.
That was before it was under investigation by 3 federal regulatory bodies.
This seems like a great fucking idea.
All right. Thanks for that, Schadenfreude. Everybody, we'll be right back with Senate candidate running in South Dakota against John Thune, Mr. Brian Bengs. Stay with us.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Hey, everybody. I want to talk about something I use literally every day. I started taking AG1 by Athletic Greens because I wanted more energy and an optimized immune system, and I wanted to save time and money on all my supplements. With just one delicious scoop of AG1, you get 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food-sourced superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you start your day right. The special blend of ingredients supports my gut health, my nervous system, my immune system, energy, recovery, focus, aging, all the things. Everything I need is in there, so I don't have to have 50 different bottles of supplements. And I want to thank Athletic Greens for their support. And right now, they're offering you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D, plus 5 free travel packs with your first purchase when you go to athleticgreens.com/dailybeans. Athletic Greens helps me with my mental clarity and alertness. It supports better sleep quality and recovery, which is why I take it with me, even when I travel. And for every purchase, Athletic Greens donates to organizations helping to get nutritious food to kids in need, including No Kid Hungry here in the U.S. Right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. It's just 1 scoop in a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. Super easy habit to pick up, very convenient, and time-saving, money-saving. Athletic Greens is the way. And to make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you that free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D, plus those 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/dailybeans. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/dailybeans to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. And also, today is brought to you by Helix Sleep. You know, I used to have sleep problems that plagued me forever. It was a real struggle to fall asleep and stay asleep, but that's all over. It all ended the day I got my custom mattress from Helix. Helix Sleep has a 2-minute online sleep quiz. It matched me with the perfect mattress, the Helix Midnight, because I'm a side sleeper and I prefer a medium firm bed. And it is head and shoulders above my old mattress. I could never go back. Helix Sleep is a premium mattress brand that provides tailored mattresses based on your sleep preferences. The Helix lineup now has 14 unique models, including a collection of luxury beds, a mattress for big and tall sleepers, and even a mattress made just for kids. It was designed for children 3 to 12 years old, and it has been awarded Best Mattress winner by Parents Magazine. Helix knows there's no better way to test out a new mattress than by sleeping on it in your own home. That's why they offer a 100-night risk-free trial. Try out your new Helix mattress, see how your body adjusts, and if you decide it's not the best fit, you're welcome to return it for a full refund. They'll even pick it up. It ships out to you for free. It's easy to put together. You don't even need tools. And right now, Helix is offering up to $200 off all mattress orders plus 2 free pillows for listeners. Just go to helixsleep.com/dailybeans. With Helix, better sleep starts now. Everybody, welcome back. It's time to flip it blue. And I am really excited today because we are going to be talking to a U.S. Senate candidate for South Dakota running against John Thune. Please welcome Brian Bengs. Brian, hello.
Hello. Thanks for having me on.
I really appreciate you coming in. I was first drawn to your campaign a while back talking about, you know, just the the everyday issues that South Dakotans are facing, but you really blew up when this amazing ad came out on social media talking about the Badlands and how you're going to be better for the Senate than your opponent, who, by the way, has been in politics since Doc Brown took Marty McFly back to the future in 1985. He's been there so long, and there's so many issues of impacting young people with climate, jobs, gun violence, and overturning Roe that most of these folks weren't even born by the time this guy started in his job. Let's talk a little bit about South Dakota and your opponent.
Okay.
Why don't we just dive into your platform? But I want to sort of underpin that with your years of service. You are Air Force and Navy.
And Navy, yep.
26-year veteran. Talk a little bit about your service and how that applies to your ability to lead in South Dakota.
Well, the reason I went into the service is I was in a working class family. So when I was 17, college really wasn't, in the picture. So I enlisted in the Navy immediately after high school and went to, basic training. And I was in the Sea College program. So it was a 2-year program specially designed for if you scored high enough on the ASVAB that you could get a college bonus, basically. So I did 2 years on active duty and then some reserve time on the back end of that and finished that up and used the GI Bill like so many people. Used the GI Bill to go to college and then law school, and went back into the Air Force thinking I'll do four years and in the JAG Corps, and then I'll get out and probably do something else. And 9/11 happened during my initial term of service, so that kind of rejiggered my thinking a little bit. And then the Air Force, I had the enviable problem, I guess. The Air Force just kept sending me cool places to do cool things that I never imagined I would be able to do. So it turned into 2 decades, and and that's how I ended up here and picked up a couple extra degrees along the way. Now, the military teaches you, or at least it taught me. I spent a fair amount of time in military education. I've taught at the Air Force Academy, so I've taught cadets, how to be ethical officers and the ideas behind being an officer and how to be a good officer. And I've been a federal ethics advisor. And military service has taught me, military leadership training has taught me that the organization is geared around people, that you can't do anything unless your people are able to do it and they believe in you and they believe in the mission. So my approach has been always to be a servant leader, that if I help out the people that are working for me and make it as easy as possible for them to be successful, then the whole mission succeeds, the whole organization succeeds if I help them. And so that's kind of my approach to, what I hope to aspire to as a senator, is that if I help out the American people, or at least the people of South Dakota, that South Dakota will succeed and America will succeed if we help out the people that are making America go.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And some of the platform issues are just so stark, the differences between you and your opponent. And Democrats and Republicans in general, I know you've been really a vocal advocate of not just maintaining Medicare and Social Security, but increasing its viability. And it's, how long it can last. And we are seeing, if the Republicans have a platform, it seems to be that their platform, one of their main things is to cut Medicare and Social Security, that we don't deserve it. It's some sort of entitlement when actually we pay into that.
Yeah, exactly. So the Rick Scott 12-point plan that he put out a few months ago at this point called for sunsetting Medicare and Social Security, which there's so many people that rely upon that have that built in. That's their expectation, that they don't have retirement savings outside of Social Security, and they're going to be reliant upon Medicare. So to just say, we're going to take it away after people have paid into it what they could and just leave them in the lurch, that isn't, it's immoral, I would say.
Yeah, I agree. And there are some very specific issues facing South Dakotans, including healthcare and expansion of healthcare. We know we just passed the Inflation Reduction Act, which is going to extend Affordable Care Act subsidies for another 3 years. And that's certainly going to help constituents in your state. But there are other things like choice and reproductive care that the Republicans are not, big proponents of, but also certain tribal issues that go hand in hand with being a South Dakotan. Can you talk a little bit about some of the issues that are very specific to your state?
Okay, well, in terms of, I'll touch upon the reproductive health care situation. South Dakota had a trigger law in the books. So as of right now, abortion is banned in South Dakota, with the exception of, if enough physicians agree that the health of the mother is at stake. But in 2006 and in 2008, the voters of South Dakota rejected in a popular vote the attempt to have a ban upon abortion put into the state constitution. And recent polling has suggested that a similar result would occur if it was to take a vote again today. So it's going to be on the ballot in 2024 already, and we know that, and we expect that the voters will renounce it again and basically return some standard semblance to what Roe had. Now, in terms of the Native American issues, South Dakota has 9 reservations, and the largest, Pine Ridge, is essentially the size of Connecticut. So it has a geographic area of a U.S. state on its own. And the Native folks have been maltreated throughout history. That's no surprise. And when I go to these reservations, I ask, so what are your big concerns? What are the big things that you think could be done differently or better? And the answer that I hear across all the reservations that I've visited so far, and I'm going to be visiting them all, but I think I've hit 4 so far, and we've got another one on the docket for this weekend. So I've heard about healthcare. The Indian Health Service in 2017 was labeled a high-risk program, and that it was prone to fraud and mismanagement and everything. I think it is now off that list, but it's nothing to be proud of that it was on that list not too long ago. And I've heard a lot of complaints about the Indian Health Service in terms of quality of care and funding and availability of care and that sort of thing. And I've heard about education, that the quality of education on reservations is subpar. And I've heard about, healthcare, education, housing, housing problems. We were on Pine Ridge not too long ago, and you see a fair number of boarded up houses that have just been boarded up and forgotten because they need some repairs and it's just not getting done. So there's these issues that the U.S. government is expected to provide for these individuals based upon land transfer treaties from the 19th century. And it's not living up in good faith to what we promised them a couple centuries ago. And so that is to their detriment. And then the state itself hasn't done them any favors. Over the years, it has actively tried to prevent them from voting, not as aggressively as some other states, but most recently, I think, is in June, there was a federal court decision that said South Dakota has violated the voting rights standards of Native populations. So they've been locked out, and they represent roughly 10%, maybe a little bit more, depending on how far the census has undercounted them, which apparently it has undercounted them to a great extent. They represent 10% of the state population, and yet they're underrepresented in our democracy, which is a serious problem.
Yeah, and let's talk a little bit about, because a lot of that has to do with state appropriations of money, and if Republicans control that, that's they divert those funds to their pet projects. And I want to kind of touch on the big oil windfall profits tax, which would provide relief at the pump and curb gas price gouging, and how that would impact your constituents in South Dakota specifically. I know that this also ties in with jobs.
Yeah, no, in terms of the gas price, I'm happy to see that the gas price is dropping here. For folks that don't know, South Dakota is a geographically very, very large state. So I've logged a lot of miles, and you use up a lot of gas here, and it is an agricultural state as well. So the vehicles that tend to be on the road, particularly in the rural areas, are large utility vehicles, pickup trucks that have large engines because they need large engines to haul the equipment and do the various other works they have. So the vehicles don't necessarily get the greatest gas mileage. It's not like we have a whole bunch of electric vehicles here. So gas prices are felt very acutely in South Dakota. And I believe that the supply and demand system within the oil companies and the big oil situation has been kind of corrupted by the desire for maximum profits. And so when we see literally record in history profits over the last quarter, then clearly something's out of whack when we have such high prices and yet record profits. The supply demand system isn't working like it's supposed to. So to the extent that we can get a windfalls profit tax to account for this, it will incentivize the decrease in prices and hopefully more production to offset, correct the supply demand disconnect.
And a couple of other just final questions for you. Are you for perhaps looking at filibuster carve-outs for things like voting rights and protecting Roe, protecting a woman's right to choose, or reproductive health care, anything like that?
To advance those things? Is that what your question was? Mm-hmm. Okay, so my position on the filibuster is based on Federalist number 58, written by James Madison back in the day. So he explicitly comes out against a giving a minority a veto, which is functionally what a filibuster does. So, I'm not a fan of the filibuster. There's benefits and costs to it. At this point, I believe it has been abused over the last, if you look at the numbers over the last decade or two, the use of the filibuster has gone up exponentially compared to the past. So it's been abused at this point, and it's overlived its purpose. And so, given the opportunity, I would vote against the continuation of the filibuster.
Excellent. That's so important to a lot of voters, I know, especially now with those kinds of issues like Roe and voting rights. And then finally, before we get to how our listeners can help your campaign and help you with logging all of those miles driving around this big state, I have another money question for you about big money in politics and term limits. We opened up this segment with me reminding everyone this guy, John Thune, has been in politics forever. And talk a little bit about your stance on getting money out of politics, leveling the playing field with things like term limits as well.
Yeah. So, I used to teach state and local government at the university here in town. And so I would explain, okay, so this is the theory that we all learn in elementary school and high school, like, oh, the government's going to work in democracy, this, that, and the other thing. And then I'd say, okay, but we know that there's money in politics. Little did I know that I was vastly underselling it. Now that I'm a candidate, I can tell you that the corrupting influence directly and indirectly of money in politics is far, far worse than people who've never run for office truly understand. So we're not going to be able to ever get it out of politics entirely, but we must, if we want any hope of democracy continuing, we must get it out to the maximum extent possible. Unfortunately, the Supreme Court has kind of kneecapped us with this Citizens United decision, and it requires a constitutional amendment. But we need to make the push towards that. Otherwise, we're heading into oligarchy territory with this stuff, and it is not good. So term limits is a tool that, again, we're going to require a constitutional amendment for that. So while we're doing multiple things together, we may as well go for hey, let's try to fix the system all at once with these sorts of things. Term limits wouldn't be a great fix unto itself, but it would be a start. And, I've taken the term limits pledge for a reason, and I would advocate for a constitutional amendment for that reason. And I would serve no more than 2 terms because I have to model what I'm saying. And I believe the advantages far outweigh the disadvantages of pushing forward on term limits. So I'm a big champion of them at this point.
Yeah, it also, it does so many other things too. It promotes diversity, different generations getting involved in politics so we don't end up with, and I have nothing against octogenarians. I love mine and the ones in my life, but, that they end up sort of at the top of Congress for so long. And just, and particularly in the Republican Party, seem to be like, oh, well, everybody makes $400,000 a year. That's like, they just become so out of touch that it's kind of mind-boggling. So it's great to know where you stand on that too. I appreciate that. Now, back to the logging all of the miles in the huge giant state that you live in. You need help, and as does anyone campaigning in a place as vast and beautiful as South Dakota. Where can people sign up to either help you monetarily with that, help you with texting, phone banking, postcard writing? I know our listeners are very, very engaged, and this is, I think, a winnable seat. Your last Democratic gubernatorial candidate got 48% of the vote, I believe. So let's talk a little bit about how we can help.
Yeah, South Dakota is in many ways an old-fashioned state in the sense that it is a field program on the ground, making contacts with individuals. So that takes money, of course, and we're running in a coordinated campaign. The easiest way to get involved in the campaign, whether it is to donate or to volunteer for any aspect of helping out here, is to go to my website, bengs4senate.com, and that is BENGS4senate.com. And you can donate or volunteer there. And of course, the video is posted there as well. So you can find us on ActBlue as well if you're just interested in donating. And, again, this is one of the unique things about my campaign is that, a fair amount of my staff is not in South Dakota. I've got individuals in Virginia and in Texas that I spend time on Zoom with them during the day, and I'm on the phone most of the time. So a lot of my campaign staff doesn't live here full time. So yeah, get involved. You don't have to be a resident necessarily to get involved.
Excellent. So everybody, that's bengs4senate.com. And again, thank you for your service. I look forward to see what you can do for veterans in South Dakota, being one yourself. I know we were all very celebratory when the PACT Act finally passed,
Absolutely.
Despite Republicans trying to trip it up. So I appreciate your time. Again, everyone, that's bengs4senate.com. And Brian, it's been a pleasure talking to you. It's Brian Bengs running against John Thune in South Dakota for U.S. Senate. Everybody, we have to get out and vote and do everything we can for these candidates. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it. And hello to everybody. Thanks for your time as well.
All right, everybody, stick around. We'll be right back with the good news. Hey, everybody, sometimes it seems impossible to find a great pair of underwear. Either it pinches weird, it doesn't fit right, it's hard to find, and it just doesn't speak to me. It doesn't matter where I would shop or how much I would spend. Nothing looked close to right on my body. It's like nobody ever took the time to design authentic underwear for strong, independent types like me. Well, Tomboy X has done it. They've done it for us. They've created underwear that makes us feel like this underwear doesn't just fit me, it gets me. Tomboy X has been making brazenly unapologetic underwear for all bodies, shapes, genders, and sizes since 2014. From boxer briefs to bikinis, my favorite boy shorts to bras and bralettes, every pair of Tomboy X is created to fit you and how you see yourself. And they've expanded beyond underwear, too. Each product is built on values of quality, fit, and inclusivity. That's the most important part here. They pay attention to every detail, like no back seams for a wedge-free experience that never rides up, never rolls, super comfy, silky smooth waistbands. Wherever you fall on the size or shape spectrum, or, just the this is me spectrum, Tomboy X is the underwear that your body will absolutely love. It's my favorite thing ever. And with their love at first wear guarantee, you can order risk-free while you find your perfect fit. I love the style and fit of Tomboy X. They have amazing prints and a plethora of different products that are sure to satisfy whatever it is you're looking for. Discover your inner tomboy, and let me get you started with my special discount. Go to tomboyx.com, enter code DailyBeans, all one word, to get an extra 20% off. That's an extra 20% off when you enter DailyBeans at tomboyx.com. That's tomboyx.com. Restrictions apply. See site for details. Everybody, welcome back. It's time for the good news.
Who likes good news, everyone? Then good news, everyone.
Good news, good news. And if you have any good news, corrections, confessions, you want to play What the Mutt, you want to tell me about your small business, you want to send some Halloween photos, you want to send an adoptable pet in your area, you want to tell me what you're making, you want to give a shout out to somebody you love, anything you want to send in, will be stories I love. You can do it at dailybeanspod.com. Just click on contact, upload your photos for pet tax, and we will be on it. Like what? I don't know. What rhymes with on it?
Like a blue bonnet.
We'll be on it.
We'll be on it.
We'll be on it like a bonnet. Little house in the hizzle, little hizzle on the prayer. Okay,
this all went off the rails. Let's just keep it moving.
I'm gonna stop now. I'm clearly almost 50 years old. All right. First up, shirt stuff. If you ordered one of our shirts and you got a small, we're sorry. We're working on proactively sending you out the right size. And so I'm looking for dog photos of your puppers in those small shirts with all of the crimes, all of the 18 U.S. Code crimes listed on it. I would love to see that. And proceeds go to the How We Win Fund to help elect Democrats in the midterms. All right, first up, 2 corrections about the parliamentary system. Hey, I was just reading from the BBC. All right, first up, from Adrienne, she, her, hello, from the Great White North, a land of parliamentary government. I enjoyed hearing how angered you were at the selection of the new prime minister by such a small group. As a resident of the Commonwealth parliamentary system, I want to assuage your fears somewhat. Good news, prime ministers have less power than presidents. That's also a bit of bad news, as things never actually seem to get done. We don't vote for a prime minister. We vote for a member of parliament who is actually a member of a party. I see where we went wrong. Whichever party gets the most seats from the government, sometimes a majority, often a minority of the seats. Got it? Okay. The leader of the party becomes the prime minister. So in that case, in the case in the UK, where this seems to be more common than in Canada, if the leader gets ousted from the party, the members get to choose their new leader, who then becomes the prime minister. Kind of like a closed primary. To be a member requires a small fee. The prime minister is also a member of parliament, hence prime, and also has a riding to represent. Okay. Attached is a picture of Doug.
I love Doug.
I like how we go from prime minister and parliamentary elections.
Oh my God, the picture and the fact that they call Doug a big derp.
Doug, our big derp. He likes to lick and then forgets his tongue is out, letting it just sit there, quivering. He's weird, but we love him.
Look at this picture. Poor Doug.
Hi, Doug. Oh, at least he doesn't have the cone of shame.
Oh, my goodness.
That's so
And we've got a second correction on this, which I actually love that our listeners did this so gently with us. This is the second correction from Peggy in Alberta, and the pronouns are she and her. Okay, Beans Queens, you've got to know I love, love, love you, and have since the early Mueller, she wrote days. Now, I've been terrified and horrified watching what's going on just across our border, and watch similar movements on our side of the line, alas. And you have been making it understandable and slightly less sick-making every day. But I think you need a little more information to temper your outrage and, dare I say, derision of Great Britain acquiring a new prime minister via a system that has been working for centuries with the usual number of oddities and injustices. There are, worldwide, a number of systems of choosing government, and I'm pretty sure there isn't a perfect one. In the Westminster parliamentary system, voters choose only the representative. Again, member of the parliament. The party elected the most MPs forms the government. The leader of the party, chosen already by the party members and who is leader during the election, becomes prime minister. So voters are choosing who should form government and who should be prime minister somewhat indirectly. Sometimes prime ministers change during the term of the government. These changes do not always align with the voter's choice. However, elections are not at set intervals, and elections can be called by the government if they think they can get a stronger mandate with a new vote, or may be forced by the opposition, for example, if two minority parties join together to outvote the ruling party. Having watched 70 years live of Westminster democracy in Canada and Alberta, and 70 years long distance of American democracy, my amateur opinion is that both systems are complicated and creaky. But I wouldn't say that there's something wrong with the way Truss became prime minister, or that only a few people had a say in it. The Conservatives picked the Conservative Party, and the party picked Liz. Hopefully, they'll pay at the polls next time. Keep on doing what you do. You are a great interpreter of the U.S. systems for all of us. Just the U.S. systems.
US system.
I felt that. I felt that little... Yep, I felt it.
Fair.
That is fair.
That's fair. I grappled with putting even any UK story in there because I was like, I don't know.
Peggy, seriously, news was so thin yesterday. AG was like, we're going across the pond.
Like, this is a good sign. I should have just stuck with exactly what they said on the BBC and not. We should have been like, God damn, I can't believe the people didn't vote for the prime minister. They do, kind of, right? Because they vote for the party.
So funny.
And then the party. And, you know, I mean, that's kind of like we don't vote for the vice president, right? We vote for the president and the vice president comes along for the ride. That's true. So, okay. Well,
ending this,
thank you.
Ending this little guy, we've got a puppy. We got puppy spam.
Yes.
And this is a 12-year-old border terrier, Kenna. And she's a little firecracker.
12-week-old.
Oh my God, 12-week-old. She's 12 weeks old, and look how cute she is.
Look at this little baby. I want to smush the face.
I do too.
Oh my God.
Right.
Well, Peggy and Adrienne, thank you. Yes.
Truly, thank you. I love learning new things about foreign governments because I'm fed up with our own.
Yeah, and I did kind of know that, but just to the way that the article worded it, the BBC worded it, it was chosen by just 170,000 people. It made you go, what the fuck? You know, so anyway, that was in the BBC article, and we read it, and they outraged us as they probably wanted to. Next up from Anne, pronouns she and her. Hi, I thought you'd enjoy seeing my beloved senior cat, Morgan, catching up on the daily beans while recovering from minor kitty surgery. He's high as a kite on his pain meds, so he might have missed some finer points of the analysis, but he's a dedicated listener along with his doting owner. Thanks for all you do.
Oh, Anne, so sweet, and that cat is high.
Look at the high boy.
Oh, the baby.
That is a sleep that I wish I could achieve right there.
Seriously. All right. Thank you so much for that. We got Puppy Mama, pronouns she and her. Hello, Beans ladies. Welcome back, Dana. So nice to hear your voice again. It's nice to be back, Puppy Mama. Although I did enjoy Peter Strzok as the guest host, because hearing the ever so proper and professional Peter let loose with a few curses and snarky comments was delightful. I want to thank AG for all the interesting and enlightening interviews with people I would otherwise have never heard of or thought to listen to. Many times I've looked at the name and background of the interviewee in the show notes and thought, oh, maybe I'll skip this one, only to have the show roll into the interview and I'm suddenly swept into an intelligent and eye-opening discussion. So thank you for another way into which you expand my horizons, in addition to the news with humor and swearing.
My goodness, this is so much love heaped upon us by Puppy Mama. I can't even take it.
Yes, my pet tax is my latest litter of foster pups, named after the Powerpuff Girls, Blossom, Bubbles, and Buttercup. These feral pups were found 2 weeks ago abandoned in a construction yard in the hot East Bay. Fuckers. Not the dogs, whoever did that. A kind couple found them there and, fortunately for the pups, contacted us instead of the shelter, where they would likely have been put down as many shelters can't handle feral pups. The couple spent hours helping me catch 2 of them. But by then, it was almost dark, and with a 2-hour drive home, I had to head out. So sad to leave the third one behind alone. The husband was determined to try again for the third one, so I left him with a crate. Half-hour later, I got a call to turn around, come back and get her. Yay! When I asked how they caught her, the wife said, well, I brought my husband a burger and fries for her dinner while he waited, and I think he bribed her into getting into the crate with the French fries.
That works for me.
Works for me too. I'd be crated for sure. Sure enough, by the time I got home, the crate was covered in regurgitated French fries. Oh, anyway, the scared, underweight, and flea-ridden girls have about doubled in size and are now happy, confident, and loving pups. One is still a little shy about being touched, but the other two absolutely adore belly rubs, and all three love to play, play, play. They will be available for adoption on the Bay Area German Shepherd Rescue site, which is bayareagsr.org. bayareagsr.org in a few days for any listeners within a few hours of San Francisco Bay Area. Thanks for all you do to keep us informed, sane, and entertained. And look at these fucking puppies.
Who would abandon these beautiful little German
Shepherd
babies?
A horrible human being.
Oh, what the fuck?
I know, I hate people sometimes.
Look at the ears. Okay, German Shepherd puppy ears when they're still kind of folded and bent over a little bit before they stand up are the most adorable.
So cute.
Okay. Next up, and finally from Stephen K., he and him. Good morning, Beans Queens, and welcome back, Dana. We all missed you, and now the universe is in balance.
Oh, thank you, Stephen.
Anyway, on to the good news. My sister and I grew up in an incredibly toxic home environment. We may not have escaped with our sanity intact if it weren't for each other. She was my rock, my role model, my most loyal friend. The other day, she gave birth to a beautiful baby boy, Magnus Stephen. And now I'm crying while I'm writing this. She and I are Daily Beans listeners, and I wanted to announce to her and the world how honored I am to share a name with her only son and tell her how much I love and look up to her. I wanted this to be a surprise, so I didn't ask for her permission to share Magnus's likeness. So instead, I will share the goodest of all dogs, the great Mr. Marshall, a.k.a. Marshmallow, Mr. Whiskers, and his glorious
Look
ears.
At that face.
Oh, the ears are the best.
It's perfection.
Oh, what a sweet baby. Nice teal wall, too. I love teal walls, as you know.
Love it, love it, love it.
Oh, my goodness. And congratulations on Magnus Stephen. That's incredible. And thank you for saying such wonderful, beautiful things about your sister. I am just, your family stories, everybody who sends these in are just super inspiring. And I love to hear all these kind words. So thank you for that so much. And again, congratulations on being an uncle and having a namesake. And thanks to everyone else for sending in your good news stories. If you have any you want to send in, you can do it by going to dailybeanspod.com and clicking on contact. Dana, do you have any final thoughts before we get out of here today?
I do not. I just want to hear yours.
No, well, you know mine. Mine are everybody until tomorrow, when I'm sure the news will continue to pour in. Please take care of yourselves, take care of each other, take care of the planet, take care of your mental health. I vote blue over Q. I've been AG.
And I've been DG.
And them's the beans. The Daily Beans is written and executive produced by Allison Gill, with additional research and reporting by Dana Goldberg and Amy Carrero. Sound design and editing is by Desiree McFarlane, with art and web design by Joelle Reeder with Moxie Design Studios. Music for The Daily Beans is written and performed by They Might Be Giants, and the show is a proud member of the MSW Media Network, a collection of creator-owned podcasts dedicated to news, politics, and justice. For more information, please visit mswmedia.com. MSW Media.